Hey, I wanted to give you this bonus. This is a bonus discussion here because it's a backing off of the discussion last week about your purpose, right? I wanted to go a little bit deeper into what it looks like to choose death. And this is definitely a sort of more advanced study. I'm going to turn this slide on, actually, see if that makes anything better. Good. It's a more advanced study. So if this is too much for you, that's fine. There's a lot of depth here. Just put it on the shelf. You can come back to it later. You can do the work without knowing this. However, I want to kind of just talk about what it looks like. I said last week, it's a default to choose death, right? We default to choosing death. And I wanted to kind of talk about what that looks like, what it looks like to choose death, which we do until we actively choose life. Choosing life, again, has to do with choosing to be loving instead of judgmental, choosing to be kind, choosing to seek out the truth, being patient, being all these things that are just like, they make you feel good. When you choose life, it's things that make you feel good, positive emotions, positive interactions. When you choose death, it's things that make you feel bad, right? So when I say that, I mean, what it means to choose death is you are choosing things that are not serving you and they're not serving anybody around you. And so if you think about your day and you think about how you interact with yourself and how you interact with people, if you are aggravated all the time, you're frustrated, you're annoyed, you're choosing death. If you're choosing anything on the negative side, the lower frequency side of the emotional spectrum, fear is always at the base of that. Depression, doubt, anxiety, all those things that you're feeling means you're choosing death. So your thoughts are what allow it. Your thoughts create your feelings. And let me go into the root of those destructive, death-giving thoughts. Now, I don't care if you are Christian, Jewish, agnostic, it doesn't matter to me, any of the magnitude between. The importance of knowing the root of where destructive behaviors and thoughts and feelings lie are in these 7, honestly, they call them deadly sins. It's not even that. They're like deadly roots. They're roots of bigger, different behavior. So if you think about wrath, right? If you think about wrath, that's always going to be anger. Well, wrath is at the bottom of it. There is a line down, there's a direct sort of root down to wrath. Wrath is the most deep and strongest emotion, but it doesn't start with wrath, right? It starts with disapproval, maybe. And then it goes to frustration. And then it goes to bitterness. And then it goes to resentment. And then it goes to anger. You see how that works? And so there's a root of emotion that all tie back to one of these 7 for the most part. All of them tie back to fear. That's always, fear is the base, the source of every negative emotion. It comes out of fear. Every single one. The opposite of love is not hate, it is fear. Right? And so when you're exhibiting any behavior, it can be traced back to one of these. So let me take a destructive, life-killing behavior, death-giving behavior, right? Let's say you are a people pleaser, right? You're a people pleaser. You're like, I don't know how that could possibly be anything tied back to bees, right? Well, I will tell you that that has a root in pride. Oh, well, what can I do for everybody? How can I solve everybody's problems? Oh, well, they can't do this without me. Let me take care of it. That's all pride. That's all rooted in pride, right? If you think about comparison, right? Well, I'm not as good as them. You're in envy. They're better than you. You're in envy. You're envious of what they are, and you're paying attention more to what they are than what you've got. So now you're jealous, right? Or, oh, well, look at their house. I don't have that kind of house. Well, you're in envy. if you think about things, that anything to excess is gluttony. It's not just food. It's not just eating a lot. If you gamble a lot, if you drink a lot, if you watch TV a lot, if you keep accepting the same behaviors time and time again. You've ever heard the term, I'm a glutton for punishment? It means they keep putting themselves in a situation where they're getting punished. Gluttony is bigger than just eating a lot. So when you are lacking, I don't want to say lacking discipline, but if you're lacking discipline because you're in excess, you're in gluttony. And that can be anything, because too much of a thing is a dangerous type of thing a lot of the times. If you're too much invested in anything outside of yourself, you want to be very, very, very careful. You want to be very, very, very careful, because it means that that thing gets taken away, you're left with nothing, and you're going to be very lost. Right? So gluttony is a dangerous one. We in America specifically are all very gluttonous. Very, very gluttonous. We have too many things. America is very much gluttony, and also sloth. Sloth is lazy. America is full of lazy people that don't want to do the work. They don't want to do the work. They don't want to do physical labor. They don't want to do self-improvement work. They certainly don't want to look inside to themselves when they can easily point the finger at everybody else. Right? That laziness, that's sloth, right? So any behavior that comes out of not wanting to show up and how that's detrimental will come out of sloth. Lust is just everywhere, is rampant. Sex sells. Sex is that weird, really interesting things where, on one hand, you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. If you are an average person talking about sex, there's a problem. If you are using it to make money, it's fine. Like, we are a society that is consumed with lust and really good at being shamed about it, unless it's hitting us in the pocket, right? We don't know how to handle lust. There's a lot of people that are there. Greed is another one. We see greed all the time. I want more. I need more. I need more. I need more. I need more. And a lot of times I don't care how I get it. Right. So I'm giving you an overview of these. This is going to be tough, honestly, because it requires you to think about your destructive behaviors. And this is sometimes hard to do. So where are you picking death, right? What is not serving you? What is not giving you life? Think about your day and think about where you are unhappy, miserable, frustrated, bitter, cranky, resentful, any of those things. That's all death-giving energy, guys. That's all death, Think about that, and then see if you can trace it back to where it originates, where it stems from. As an example, I know out of all of these, I struggle with pride. That is my main one. I tend not to do things in excess. I'm not really jealous of anybody ever. Not angry at anybody. You do you, I do me. I do have ambition. Ambition can come into the greed category when you're not careful, but also ambition's kind of like greed plus pride, which is like a little tricky. I do not struggle with sloth. I'm never lazy. I've never been lazy. Lust is one that I definitely would say I do struggle with a little bit, because I like lust after things, but then I go to get them, right? So there's a little bit of a lust plus pride there. Of course, I'm willing to do the work for it. So like there's that, but then this really tricky thing happens where it's like, well, I've done the work, so I deserve this pride. So I can say that knowing myself, the one that is the root for me, that's a very dangerous one, is pride. But we all fall into this. Society perpetuates this. Society perpetuates it. So if you feel like you want to choose life and you don't know how, you can start by stop choosing death. That's how you can start. Stop choosing death. So when you feel yourself getting angry or annoyed, check yourself before you wreck yourself and be like, what is happening? Why am I annoyed? Right? That's awareness. I talked all about that on my Instagram. So if you follow me on Instagram, check it out this week. The last couple posts were all about awareness. But if you feel yourself feeling a negative emotion, that's its own level of emotional awareness, by the way, being aware of how annoyed you are or frustrated you are, or when you're flowing in the negative. Then you can get into, okay, well, what am I mad at? What am I upset about? Why am I frustrated? Why am I upset? Why am I venting? Why do I feel like I need to vent to my best friend? Before you vent to her, think about why. Think about what and think about why. Then for the deeper student who's in emotional regulation, wants to think about this, you can see what it goes back to. But these are the roots at which, if we have so many people in this society have like a self-worth problem, right? They don't feel worthy. They don't feel worthy. Well, why? It's probably because they were never enough or they were too much for the people around them. Well, why? Probably because their parents had expectations for them that they didn't reach, perhaps. And it's like, okay, well, what is that then? Well, their parents were in pride. I expect my kid to do this. And then their kid didn't do that. Right? And so a lot of our issues go to pride issues. And again, this is just a deeper level discussion. If it's too heavy, it's too much to process, just put it on the shelf. But when we start thinking about things that are on deep levels, choosing death is pervasive in this society. And I'm not saying be, toxically positive, like, oh no, everything is great, la 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 la. No, that's not what I'm saying. I am saying be aware of the things that are shit and make sure that you do not add to it. Then you do that by choosing life. Acknowledge the things that aren't the best, be aware of the death, and actively choose life. That's what I mean by that. So I hope this was a helpful sort of just bonus discussion to get you thinking a little bit. Again, if you're interested in talking more about it, DM me. I'm always I'm always chatting in the DMs and on Instagram. And I hope that you enjoyed it. I'll be here dropping new subject matter in 2 days. And hopefully you will enjoy that as well. Thank you for stopping by.